Welcome to a very gloomy and windy afternoon in spring in Russia. And I'm going to walk around this park and talk about 20 things that you should never do in Russia, 20 rules that you should never break. And this park that I'm walking around here, it's located in Vladimir, and it was a park that, well, it dates back to Soviet times. There's loads of little playgrounds and Soviet rides, and in winter people go ice skating and skiing. In summer, just kind of like hang around and enjoy themselves, but we're kind of between the seasons, so it's pretty dead here. So as I enter the park, we've got this dude here. It's a bear with some sort of weapon, is it, in his hand? What's going on there? So these rules are in no particular order at all. They're just the order that I wrote them down in. Rule number one is always take your shoes off when you go inside a Russian house. Now, if you're from the UK, this is standard. But if you're from the US, I know you guys don't take off your shoes, which is really weird. Don't you like bring in dirt and mud and water and all stuff into the house? I don't get that. I don't get why you don't take them off. But if you're from the US and you're used to not taking off your shoes, make sure you take off your shoes. In Russia, you're going to find slippers and flip-flops and sandals and everything like that by the door. So take off your shoes before you go into the house. And rule number two is also associated with doorways. In Russia, everyone shakes hands. That's like a tradition. Men shake hands with each other. Women don't, but men shake hands with each other. But make sure you do not shake hands through a threshold, so through a doorway, through a window. Russians are very superstitious, and this is one of the rules you should never break in Russia. So here it says relaxation in Park Druzhba. Druzhba is the name of the park, and Druzhba means friendship. And see, you can see we've got some dancing kind of thing going on here. We've got the kids roller coaster, some traditions. I know this woman, she's from like a folk dancing group. Here we've got some walking, summer walkers, some kids on some BMXs. This takes me back to the 80s. And then we've got some teenagers just chilling out and having fun. And here we've got a face, got some hair at the side from flowers, got the eyes on the windows. So this ride is like the spinning thing. Do you have this ride? I don't like them. I always think that they're not really that safe. Obviously they must be, otherwise people won't go on them, right? And they won't be popular. But these little chains over the seats, I always, not for me. So the next two rules are more about people. Russian people do not smile at strangers. And so if you see a stranger, the chances are they're not going to smile at you, and you shouldn't really smile at them. Now, because you're not used to seeing someone and not smiling, the chances are that you'll smile. Now, someone might smile back, but they might think, I don't know you, and just shake their head, or perhaps they'll kind of think, what's going on here? Because Russians view people that smile for no reason as something wrong with you. Perhaps they'll just realize that you're foreign and smile back, and maybe even make a conversation. So it's up to you. Look at the different bird feeders we've got here. This one's got some bread inside it. Oh wow, just noticed something. Look at this. Do you ever see this in your country? Somebody has lost their debit card and someone has put it here for them to find in a branch. So over here we've got, well, it's kind of like a bakery. You've got popcorn and drinks there and stuff. And I'm guessing this thing here is for candy floss, look. All around this area you can see the kids have been playing. We've got loads of hopscotch. It says start here. When was the last time you played hopscotch? So here it says kassa. And kassa is the like checkout, the place to pay. And so if there's an event on here, this is where you get your ticket. The next thing you should never do is assume that Russians don't understand your language. Russians are great with foreign languages. Now, Russian people are going to say to you they don't speak English, but the chances are they speak amazing. But just they have such a high standard that they've set for themselves. They'll say, oh, my English is really bad. And then they'll start speaking to you and you'll be like, your English is better than mine. What are you talking about? And so I've had quite a few situations where I've thought, you know, completely fine. I'll be speaking really loud to one of my friends in English, swearing, talking about people that are around us, and then someone will come up to us and say, "Hi, by the way, I understand everything you said." Or someone will say, "Hi, how are you?" And I'll be like, "Oh no, I can't believe I just said all that," and that person listened and heard everything I said. Perhaps the tickets are for the different rides as well that we've got here. This one's I don't know, do you think the face looks scary? I think the face looks pretty scary, to be fair. I'd have a nightmare. We've got a list of all the rules, which is pretty appropriate for today's video, right? And this one's really cool. I used to enjoy this when I was a kid. Even when we became adults, there was like bigger ones and you could go over the whole thing. It was really cool. And here, look, we've got like a darts thing. We'll be shooting with a bow and arrow. And look at the different bird boxes up here. Oh look, we've got a bird in a bird box. This is the first time ever that we're seeing a bird in its natural habitat. Oh, it's done one. You can see the animal theme is continued throughout the park. Mr. Owl. So over here we've got a big children's play area. Obviously I'm not going to go there and start filming, it's a bit weird. All we're missing here is the train. You can see there's the train station and the little loop that it does. The next two rules in Russia are rules about caring about other people, right? And I'm sure you have these rules wherever you live in the world as well, and that's don't make loud noise after 11 o'clock. Now obviously if you're having a birthday party, then just tell your neighbours you're having a birthday party. They're going to have birthday parties too, so it's pretty normal. But a lot of the time you'll in Russia hire some sort of house in the countryside or some banya that you go to with friends that you can stay the night there, and because it's not yours, you'll think, well, I don't care, we're out of town, we're going to party. And Russians especially do this if they're used to living in apartments. When they go to houses, blimey, what's going on there? When they go to houses, they think, oh well, we're only here for one night, we're going to party all night, we're going to put the music on really loud. And what they forget is that, well, actually those houses are next to other houses and people live there full time. And so yeah, that can be really frustrating. Now if you do play loud music and the police turn up, you can get an administrative fine. And if you're here on residency, you're only allowed to have 2 administrative fines a year. Otherwise they can cancel your residency. And here we've got a sand pit area. I guess they probably bring in more sand and put things, and maybe the kids will sit around and learn something, or the adults will sit and watch them play. And this is the teacup ride, Russian version. It all looks a bit psychedelic, doesn't it? Here we've got the like a kids assault course, and I guess they'll have some balls in there, you know, those plastic balls. Oh yeah, I can see them. I was obviously one of those kids that got tall really fast, and so I was always too tall to go and play with the plastic balls. Here we've got some tables. Well, there'll be tables in summer. Perhaps things will be sold on them, or maybe have a picnic here. So here we've got more of a traditional kind of sports climbing area. Look, you can do bar dips and pull-ups and all that kind of stuff. And in fact, we've even got some weights here. Wonder how heavy they are, but they're going to be too heavy for me. Oh, they're crazy heavy. The same applies to if you're starting construction work in the morning. If the construction work is loud, don't do it before 8 o'clock in the morning, or your neighbours are going to complain. Now we've all been there, especially if you're purchasing an apartment in a house that's brand new where people are refurbishing. You're lying in bed in the morning and then you hear and the drill starts. You're like, oh man. But you understand that because you did it as well, and so the person underneath you probably went through the same like stress of hearing your noise of you building, right? So this is the ski hire place, skis and skates. And in winter this area here turns into an ice rink, so you can hire ice skates to go and, well, go and skate inside. But obviously now it's just an empty court. Perhaps in summer they will use it as a, I don't know, a football pitch or something, but at the moment it's just kind of boarded off. So obviously at some point this will become nice flowers, but for now it's kind of neither neither nor, I guess. So in this building it says a skiing school for adults, for children, for groups, personal. Here's the Instagram handle for them and the phone number. And I guess you can go there, get your skis, and then come here and get your training. And then the final one associated with this whole disturbance and doing the right thing is jaywalking. Now, in the UK, we don't really have jaywalking because jaywalking is essentially crossing the road in the wrong place, but unless you're crossing over in a dual carriageway or something like that, where they've got like barriers in the middle, you know, crazy places, then we don't really have like a jaywalking thing. People cross the road as long as it's safe. Obviously, you're supposed to cross at the zebra crossing, but in Russia, you're only allowed to cross at the zebra crossing. Now, obviously, again, if you're in the middle of a village and there's no zebra crossing, just make sure you're going the right way. You look in the left and right or whatever, make sure there's no cars coming. But if you're in Russian cities and you cross in the wrong place and the police see you, then they can give you an administrative fine. And of course, you don't want those administrative fines to build up. So let's have a look at what's going on in kids' minds today. We've got the house, got some sort of lorry or tractor, I guess. This is like maybe some hay on the back of there or something. We've got the sun, and then look, we've got an airplane. Are these aliens, or is this like a warplane? What do you think? And so you can see it's not the season to be walking between the playgrounds yet. So as I said already, Russians are very superstitious. So here's 3 more rules, superstitious things that you should not break. The first one is not toasting when you have a drink. Russians always toast. They toast for health, they toast for family, they toast for love, they toast for future events, they toast for the fact that you're not ill. There's always a toast that people can think of for saying thank you for something, for thanking the person whose house you're at, for thanking the person who made the food, for so much. There's always a toast. So make sure you say a toast before drinking. Don't just pour yourself a drink if you're with a company of friends and drink it. They'll be like, what's going on here? Where's the toast? So over here is the mini roller coaster. I don't know how old this is, but I remember one like this when I used to go on holiday in Butlins in the 80s, and we would spend days going on this thing, just, you know, time after time. And over here we have one of those swing rides, but a mini one for little kids. You can see the Russian flags on there as well, pretty cool. This is the park administration. We've got the town flag up there. It says administration there, and Park Druzhba, friendship park. So as we walk further down away from the kids area, it becomes a place where people do other sports. Here we've got volleyball courts, one there and one there. Obviously they need to be tidied up a bit before summer starts, and they've got no net on them or boundaries or anything. The next superstition is about the amount of flowers you buy for a girl. Only buy odd numbers of flowers. Even numbers are for funerals. So don't make that mistake, or someone's going to be really confused and maybe even a bit angry. And here's a sign saying, look, so that the rabbits and the squirrels are not ill, please do not feed them the wrong things. And it's got a list of the things you should feed them and the things you shouldn't feed them. If you could see some of the evil looks I've been getting as I've been walking down here making this video, really funny. And when I say hello, they kind of look away. There you go, never mind. I'm interrupting their park time, not the other way around. Wow, it's really windy here. I don't know what this one's for, perhaps putting your bike there or something. Oh, we've got the hooks there, I don't know, you tell me what it's for. Then over here we've got another area where people have created these bird feeders, and it's interesting, the different types of bird feeders. I guess perhaps a class at school has made them, or you know, it's been their homework assignment to go make them and put them up in the park. We've got a really nice one, and then some other little interesting ones that people have made. Look at this one, got some chopsticks going on in that one. This one's very kind of bright and colourful, isn't it? And then here, this one, they've even got a little branch for the bird to perch on. The next superstitious rule not to break is do not wish somebody happy birthday before their birthday. Russians do not like this, and it's an interesting one, because you can wish someone Happy New Year before New Year, before a certain celebration. You can wish someone, you know, a future happiness in that celebration, or to enjoy that celebration, but you can't do it with birthdays, which is weird, right? But Russians don't want to celebrate their birthday before it happens, because it's almost like tempting fate. It hasn't happened yet, and so you can't say to someone, congratulations on your birthday. You could possibly say, have a good day tomorrow, but just don't say congratulations for your birthday when it hasn't happened yet. And so here we've got a warning: please don't start fires in the park and in the woods. This is the fine, from 1,000 to 5,000 rubles. So that was really nice. The lady who's just walking in the opposite direction to me there, she approached me and we chatted for a little bit and talked about how she noticed that every time I walked past somebody, they would give me like an evil look, and we had a really good laugh about it. It was really cool. But she was like a really nice person, just walking her baby in this park, as she lives nearby somewhere. Nice. And in all the trees down here, we've got all these different ones, that different bird feeders that the kids have obviously made. Have you ever had a project like this in your school? So if you're drinking with your Russian friends, if the bottle is finished, you need to take that bottle and put it on the floor, usually under the table or next to the leg of the table. Russians are very superstitious about this. You do not leave empty bottles on the table. If anyone knows why that is, let me know in the comments. I don't know why. I always take the empty bottle and put it on the floor, but I don't actually know why it's done. Another one is, don't throw away bread in Russia. Now, it's weird, because obviously if you have stale bread, then you're going to throw it away. Or if you're having a barbecue and there's a couple of pieces of bread left right in the packet, and they're a bit hard because they've been out on the table all day, then you're going to throw them away. But what you want to do is, if you go to throw it away, someone will say, oh, don't throw away bread. So you'll just take it inside and then throw it away. The reason that people have this relationship towards bread is because bread has kept Russians alive in so many different times throughout history. Whether that be the siege of Leningrad, when there was no food and people starved to death, or whether that be in the first few days after the Russian Revolution, there's been mass starvation in certain parts of the Soviet Union. Then there was the end of the Soviet Union, the 90s. Lots of times when it's been difficult in Russia, and so their relationship and attitude towards bread is like a sacred one. So don't just don't publicly throw the bread away. So this dude is sitting here, and can you see what he's waiting for? This is the toilet. So this is probably the most important rule in Russia. So listen closely. People, when you see snow for the first time, you think, oh, I bet snow tastes really tasty, right? But it's, what's it like to eat? Just make sure you never eat yellow snow. Here we've got a couple of slides, and I guess when you get to like teenage years, you want to go down this one on your skateboard. So next we've got 3 serious ones, okay? Really serious. The first one is, in Russia, you need to use winter tires on your car in winter. Don't use your summer tires. A lot of places around the world, you don't change the tires. I lived in Nottingham in the UK, we do not change the tires. But in Russia, you have winter tires, or you have all season tires, and make sure you're using them in winter, because you don't want to kill someone or yourself, right? The next one is, do not talk about LGBT culture at home, with your friends, whatever. Discuss it. Do not discuss it publicly. The promotion of LGBT culture in Russia is forbidden. Russia's view on sexuality is traditional, man and woman. Now, that's not to say that you cannot be of a different sexual orientation. What it means is you cannot promote it to other people, because LGBT is classified as an extreme organization. So what you do yourself behind closed doors with whoever you love. But do not tell other people or teach other people about that, because it won't be accepted and you can find yourself in a lot of trouble. I repeat, you can do whatever you want at home. You just don't need to shout about it and tell the world about it. If you're transgender or whatever you are, just do it. You don't need to go to the streets and shout, I'm transgender and I'm for transgender rights. Nobody cares what you are. You do you, and just get on with life. So here, this is the place where the events are held. We've got the stage over there and all the different seats that people can sit and watch performances. The next rules are for you as a foreigner. Rules that you should really make sure you stick to. First of all, when you come to Russia, you have 7 days to register yourself with the immigration department to show where you are officially living. You're going to need this if you're going to be, I don't know, trying to apply for residency. You're going to need a fixed address. Now, you need a fixed address by law, the place where you will be officially registered, so that they can come and check on you if they need to, so that you have a place where you can put your address down. They can send things to you, right? They need to know where you're going to be registered, so make sure you do that, otherwise you can get a fine and probably even worse. So just make sure you do it. The next thing is, when you're walking around, take your documents with you. You want to make sure that you have at least a copy, if you're in the town where you're residing, have a copy of your documents, so that if the police stop you, you can show, look, I'm living at this address. So it's really weird in Russia, and it's still something I'm not used to, but like a couple of girls, like 10 years old, came up to me and they just started asking me questions, where are you from, and all this kind of stuff. And you kind of feel uncomfortable because obviously 46-year-old foreign man with a camera, and you've got kids just standing there and like, oh, where are you from, and blah blah blah, asking you questions and saying, hello, my name's this and I'm this many years old and stuff. And in Russia that kind of thing happens, and it's kind of awkward because you have your mentality of, you know, who you are in the Western world, and you start thinking, I shouldn't be speaking to kids, right? I could be in trouble for this. It's a weird one, and it's interesting how places are different, right? But if you're traveling to a different town, then take your documents with you, take your passport with you, because if you're stopped on the street, you've got no way of showing who you are, and you need to be able to show who you are. Now, if you're traveling to a different town, you in theory should register where you travel, but if you're going on the bus or on the train, you can use the tickets to prove how long it's been since you arrived in that town. So here we've got a kid with a puppy, and it says, the love for animals starts in childhood. So when you enter Russia, you'll be given an immigration card, and this is the little piece of paper that shows the address that you're residing at. It's got a special number on there, whatever number person you are to arrive in Russia that day or that year, I guess. It's your personal identification number. It'll also have a stamp to show that you arrived on that day, and it's very important you don't lose this. If you lose this, then you might not be able to leave Russia. You'll have to go to the police station and report it lost and get a copy so that you can show it at the airport, because it's very important. So make sure you do not lose this. So on this side there's a couple of slides too. This is a skateboarder's paradise, this is. Or even on your BMX, it might be a bit difficult to get your BMX up there, but still. Now, another superstition is about whistling in the house. Russians are really crazy about this superstition. If you whistle in somebody's house, then they take that as a sign of perhaps future financial loss. And so if you whistle in someone's house and then the week after that they, I don't know, lose their fortune, the chances are they could blame you. I don't know how good this area is going to be for bouncing the ball. We've got a basketball hoop up here. We've got some pictures of the kind of sports you can do. Volleyball, table tennis. I don't think table tennis is ever really good outside, is it? And of course skiing, and someone's written book lots of times. Is this their graffiti name, maybe? Book. And so the very final rule, in fact, I'm going to tell you one more rule before we go as well. So the one before the final one, I'm going to say it, but I need a drink and the words are going to stick together. So when you're speaking to an official, or to somebody you don't know, or to someone who's older than you, someone that you should show respect to, you need to understand that in Russia there's two ways to say you. There's T, which is kind of like you'd say to friends, and there's V, which you would say to people who you don't know, who you respect, and officials. So if you're speaking to the policeman or the town mayor or some sort of official person, then you make sure you use V. Now, obviously, at the same time, they're going to understand you're foreign, and perhaps, see, I can't speak, probably they're not going to mind. But still, if you've been in Russia for a while, you need to understand there's two differences. So here we've got an ocean liner, look. So it's weird, I just heard those kids over there speaking, I guess, to their parents on the phone saying, we've just met a man with a camera and he's not from Vladimir and he speaks Russian okay. And I'm thinking, I bet if I was a parent and I heard my kids saying that, calling from the park, and if you're in the UK, you'd be legging it down here now, come with a guy with a camera near to a kid's play area, right? What? Never. I guess it doesn't shock me anymore, but it would shock me in the UK. These girls that I spoke to, they're like 9 and 10 years old, and they're in the park on their own. They've got no supervision with them at all or anything, and you know, they're very trusting, right, aren't they? You know, coming up to me and speaking to me. I guess, you know, in one sense it shows that Russia is not a dangerous place and not considered dangerous, but at the same time perhaps kids should be taught or should have learned not to approach just strange men, right? And so finally, the last rule. I can get in my car, warm up my hands, it's starting to rain, go for a nice cup of tea. So just enjoy your time here and don't worry about the rules. You're gonna break all these rules anyway. A couple of them are important with regards to speaking to people properly or registering your immigration arrival in Russia, things like that. But the rest of them, you're going to break those rules and then someone's going to tell you why and you're going to learn. So don't worry about it. Just come here, have fun, enjoy your life and be happy. And I break rules all the time and my friends tell me, you know, what's the rule behind the rule and why have I broken it, and then you learn, and next time you get to make videos like this telling other people about the rules that you've learned. Okay, see you in the next one.